Poem in October by Dylan Thomas, 1914 to 1953. It was my 30th year to heaven, woke to my hearing from harbour and neighbour wood, and the mussel pooled, and the heron priested shore, the morning beckon with water praying, and call of seagull and rook, and the knock of sailing boats on the net-webbed wall. Myself to set foot that second in the still sleeping towns and set forth. My birthday began with the water birds, and the birds of the winged trees flying my name above the farms and the white horses, and I rose in rainy autumn, and walked abroad in a shower of all my days. High tide, and the heron dived when I took the road over the border, and the gates of the town closed as the town awoke. A springful of larks in a rolling cloud, and the roadside bushes brimming with whistling blackbirds, and the sun of October summery on the hill's shoulder. Here were fond climates and sweet singers suddenly come in the morning, where I wandered and listened to the rain ringing, wind blow cold in the wood far away under me. Pale rain over the dwindling harbour, and over the sea, wet church the size of a snail, with its horns through mist, and the castle brown as owls, but all the gardens of spring and summer were blooming in the tall tales beyond the border, and under the lark full cloud. There could I marvel my birthday. Away, but the weather turned around. It turned away from the blithe country, and down the other air, and the blue altered sky streamed again, a wonder of summer with apples, pears, and red currants, and I saw in the turning so clearly a child's forgotten mornings when he walked with his mother through the parables of sunlight, and the legends of the green chapels, and the twice told fields of infancy, that his tears burned my cheek, and his heart moved in mine. These were the woods, the river and sea, where a boy in the listening summertime of the dead whispered the truth of his joy to the trees and to the stones and the fish in the tide, and the mystery sang alive still in the water and singing birds. And there could I marvel my birthday away, but the weather turned around, and the true joy of the long dead child sang burning in the sun. It was my 30th year to heaven, stood there then in the summer noon, though the town below lay leaved with October blood. Oh, may my heart's truth still be sung on this high hill in a year's turning. Okay, this is a poem by Dylan Thomas. Let's see, Dylan Thomas was born in Swansea. He's a Welsh poet. He's probably most famous for his poems Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night, and Death Shall Have No Dominion. He's also famous for his play Under Milk Wood. Let's see, he worked as a reporter for the South Wales Daily Post. This was, I think, his first job when he left school. And he started to become famous as a poet. He started to make radio recordings for the BBC, and that's when he started to become more famous. In the 50s, he began to travel to the United States. Sadly, Dylan Thomas was an alcoholic, and during one of his trips to New York, he got very ill and died. So, what's this poem about? Well, this poem is about his 30th birthday. And I think this poem is talking about the passage of time, and I think it's talking about memory as well. And he wakes up and in this village, and he walks to the top of a hill, and this is, I think this mirrors his life. He wakes up in the village. I think this is reflecting when he was young and when he was born. And as he goes up, his time is passing in his life. It's like the walk represents the years till he has become 30. And when he's at the top, he remembers being with his mother, and he remembers various things. But all through this poem, he's describing the senses, the things that he sees, the link that he has with the world around him. And I think this poem, it's thinking about the ideas of the passing of time, memory, and I think it's also talking about the beauty of the natural world. And I think he's thinking about his personal journey in time, and perhaps the journey of literature and poetry during that period, because this is written at the end of the Second World War, and this is definitely a time of change. So, let's see. It was my 30th year to heaven, woke to my hearing from harbour and neighbouring wood, and musselled pool, and the heron priested shore. So, he's woken up, and it's his 30th birthday, and he can hear the harbour, the sounds from the harbour, and he can hear the wood that's nearby, and then he can see the pool with mussels, and the shore with the herons that are like priests looking over it. And the morning beckoned, the morning said, hello to me, come to me, come to me, with water praying and the call of seagull and rook, and the knock of sailing boats on the net-webbed wall. So the morning is calling him, the water is calling, the seagulls, caw, caw, and the rooks are calling him. And he hears the sound of the sailing boats banging against the walls of the harbour that has the nets over it. Myself to set foot that second in the still sleeping town and set forth. So at that moment he gets up, he goes into the town, which is still asleep. My birthday began with water birds, and the birds of the winged trees flying my name above the farms and the white horses. So this is the beginning of his birthday, and it starts with the seabirds and the the birds of the land, and these are calling his name. They're calling his name over the farms and over the white horses, the breaking waves on the sea. And I rose, and I got up in rainy autumn, and walked abroad in a shower of all my days. So he got up, and he's walking, and it's raining, and the rain represents all the days of his life that has gone past. So as he's walking, each of these paces is a raindrop, is a day, is a month of his life. High tide and heron dived when I took the road over the border. So it was high tide when he left the town over the border, and the gates of the town closed as the town awoke. So he's going over the border from the edge of the town into the countryside, and perhaps this is from the border from early childhood to becoming perhaps a teenager. And he sees a heron dive, and the gates of the town closed, and the town started to awake. A springful of larks in a rolling cloud, and the broadside bushes brimming with whistling blackbirds, and the sun of October. Okay, summary on the hill's shoulder. So he sees a group of larks, a springful of larks, and they come and they fly out of the roadside bushes like a cloud, and then he hears the bushes which are full of whistling blackbirds, and it's a sunny summery October day. On the hill's shoulder, here were fond climates and sweet singers suddenly come in the morning, where I wandered and listened to the rain ringing. So I got to the shoulder of the hill. I got to a high point on the hill, and I could hear all of these birds singing, and it was warm and it was comfortable, and all of these birds had come to sing into this place where I was wandering, and I could hear and see the rain below. Listen to the rain ringing. Wind blow cold in the wood far away under me. And now he's looking down from the hill, and he can see the wind blowing cold and the rain in the wood, which is further down below. So maybe this is on the other side. He's come up from the hill over the shoulder, and he sees the wood on the other side, and he's walking through the different events of his life. Pale rain over the dwindling harbour, and over the sea, over the sea wet church, the size of a snail, with its horns through mist and castle, brown as owls. So he can see the rain, and the harbour is getting further and further away. The town is getting smaller and smaller. It's almost like his early childhood is disappearing, and he can see the church, which is wet. It's wet with seawater, and it's as big as a snail, and it looks like a snail with its horns, the horns of a snail, through the mist, and the castle brown as owls. So that it all looks very brown, and there's mist, and he can see this through the mist. Brown as owls, so they are brown colour. But all the gardens of spring and summer were blooming in the tall tales beyond the border and under the larkful cloud. So where he was on the edge of the town, beneath the cloud of larks, between the clouds which looked like a group of larks, he could see the gardens blooming full of spring and summer. So the gardens were full of spring and summer. There could I marvel my birthday away, but the weather turned around. So it was warm, and he could see the flowers of spring and summer, and he was wondering, looking at the landscape. He was enjoying his birthday walk. And then the weather changed. It turned away from the blithe country and down the other air, and the blue altered sky streamed again with a wonder of summer apples. So the clouds rolled away into the distance, and it was a beautiful summer's day. And there were apples and pears and currants, and here he was in the beauty of nature, the beauty of the apples, with the abundance of nature. And I saw in the turning so clearly a child's forgotten mornings when he walked with his mother through the parables of sunlight and the legend of green chapels. And in this sudden change of the weather, he saw all of the mornings when he'd walked with his mother, when these long lost days when he was young, walking with his mother, and this was to him, this was a great happiness. This was a wonderful thing to see, and he remembered the sunlight and the green chapels. I think this is the holy church of nature, and he's walking through the sacred forest, through nature, and the beauty of nature, and the twice told fields of infancy, that his tears burned my cheeks and his heart moved in mine. And he sees the fields, he sees the countryside again, and he's happy because he's lived this twice told. He's living it again as if he was a boy walking. That his tears burned my cheeks and his heart moved in mine. So his heart is moved by this scene, and he's suddenly transformed back to the time when he was a boy. These were the woods, the river and the sea, where a boy in the listening summertime of the dead whispered the truth of his joy to the trees and the stones and the fish and the tide. And he's carried away back to his childhood, and he's a child again. And these are the woods and the sea where he was a boy in the summertime, in the summertimes that are long past, summertime of the dead. And these are all talking of the happiness that he had, and he was telling his happiness to the trees and the stones and the fish and the tide. And the mystery sang alive still in the water and the singing birds. And all of these mysteries, all of this happiness was still alive in the singing of the water and the singing of the birds. And there could I marvel my birthday away, but the weather turned around. And I could have spent the rest of my birthday reminiscing, remembering all of these beautiful things. But then the weather changed, and the true joy of the long dead child sang burning in the sun. And he felt this happiness of his long lost childhood, and it's there under the hot sunlight. It was my 30th year to heaven, stood there then in the summer noon, though the town below lay leaved with October blood. So he's there and he's remembering his childhood, and he's looking down and he can see the town in the red October light, and maybe the town below is this autumn red colour, and perhaps the town below is now representing his current life, the life of people, the life that he has to live in the world, in the world, which is something that is long dead, is something that's long gone. Oh, may my heart's truth still be sung on this high hill in a year's turning. So he hopes that this happiness that he feels will be with him for the whole of the next year. It will be with him until his next birthday. In a year's time, he hopes that these deepest, truest, true feelings will still be here for him in a year's time. So this poem is talking about life and living, and perhaps getting old. It's the journey of life, and he's remembering his childhood, and it's as it going to this place. It's like his childhood happiness has returned to him, and he's grown older. He accepts the change, and he's left the past behind him. But he's in this poem, he's revisiting his past, and he's remembering its happiness and how that happiness is a part of him, and he's perhaps stopping on his journey of life, and he's left his youth behind him. He's on his way to middle age, but he's still able to reminisce about the beauty of his childhood, the happiness of his childhood, and this is something that he hopes will continue with him. And I think he's part of nature. His spirit is part of nature, and he's linked to the seabirds and the larks and all of the different birds, and he's linked to the light and the and the apples and the red currants and the pears. He's linked to all of all of nature, and he's intertwined with the rhythm of nature, and he hopes that this will stay alive with him forever. So, Poems in October by Dylan Thomas.